All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our aftermarket recap. Let me just erase some notes I had here. All right. There we go. That's erased. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the aftermarket recap. It is January 25th, 2022 on a Tuesday. 7:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today and every afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, little white logo. Click on that, turn on notifications, subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Really do appreciate that. Really helps the algorithm in terms of YouTube. All right, let's talk about the market today. Dow Jones fell only 66 points today. It was actually green for a little bit on the Dow. So again, some value names did well. Johnson & Johnson was a big one. We'll talk about that as we look at the heat map. The NASDAQ fell another 2.28% with a little more after hours with Microsoft earnings coming in. We'll go over that here in a second. S&P 500 down 1.22% at 43.56. The VIX closed at 31.16, up 4.21%. Let's see, equal weight S&P down about 0.95%. Dollar index up 0.09%, 96. 1.783 for 10-year yield, up 2.77%. Gold GLD, which is the gold ETF, was up 0.32% at 172.58. Silver was down 0.41%, 22.02. Taking a look at the credit markets. Credit markets took a hit today as high yield credit fell 0.29%, 85.10. LQD, which is investment grade bonds, they fell 0.28%, 128.14. Taking a look at the Russell, they were down 2.15% at 1988. On the future side, crude oil was up 2.23% at 85.17. Gasoline futures $2.45 per gallon, and gold futures was up about 0.35% at 18.48 an ounce, with silver futures up as well. Yet SLB was down, interesting enough, 23.85. Let me just get my wallet out of my pocket. I said I don't need my wallet. Either way, get that here. Put my wallet back. It was kind of messed with me in my pants. Okay, anyways, where are we? Okay, so that's where we are. Taking a look at the groups today in terms of the S&P. Here it is. Energy was the big winner, up 3.41%. Financials squeaked out a slight gain, 0.32%. Tech was the big loser, 2.77%. Communication services was down 2.26%. Cyclicals were down 1.73%. And then you have a couple of utilities, consumer defensive, industrials, all around the same level. Healthcare was down less than 1%. And basic materials and real estate rounded out kind of the midpoint of the market. In terms of the heat maps, you could see here, we could see Microsoft is down after hours, but this is the 2.66% fall for the day. So it doesn't have after hours here. Apple down 1.14%, Google down 3%, Amazon down 3.15%, Tesla down 1.25%. Energy, the only green here. Johnson & Johnson, its best day since 2020, up 2.86%. Pfizer was up nearly 2%. Berkshire Hathaway up 1.14% as financials like Citi, JPM, Bank of America, Wells Fargo increased their dividend today. They were up. American Express had a great quarter. They were up 9%. Capital One was up 2.6% as PayPal and MasterCard lagged in the financials. Visa actually rounded out green. RTX Raytheon reported earnings earlier today. They were up 2.48%. Lockheed Martin up 3.71%. IBM from yesterday's earnings had a good quarter. They were up 5.65%. Speaking of earnings, let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft's earnings, let's go over that. Microsoft quarter two earnings, $2.48 versus $2.29 estimate. So that's a beat on EPS. Revenue, $51.7 billion versus $50.1 billion. That's a beat. Now here is where it gets interesting. Microsoft operating margin, 43% operating margin versus 42% year-over-year calculation. Gaming revenue up 8% year-over-year. Productivity in business and processes revenue, $15.9 billion. That's 19% growth year-over-year. Intelligent cloud, again, this is Azure, $18.3 billion versus 26% year-over-year. More personal computing, this is Windows and all that stuff, the Surface, $17.5 billion, and that's up 15% year-over-year. Taking a look at some other news here, let's take a look at, this is some stuff I found on Twitter. And you could see gross margin fiscal year 2022, Q2, 20% growth on gross margins. You could see operating income, 24% growth. Net income, 21% growth. Diluted earnings per share, 22%. You could see the growth in terms of productivity, business procedures, intelligent cloud, that's Azure, more personal computing, we just talked about that. That's a 20% growth on revenue. That's really great for such a big company. Now, here's the interesting part. It's down pre-market. It's down after hours. You could see the revenue growth for Microsoft on this chart here, and you could see 20%. Okay, let me go ahead and break this down. Anything that's double digits is really good, like 10%. 20% is amazing. This price action honestly makes 0 sense to me. This is a great company. Now, I didn't see anything in regards to buybacks of shares. I didn't see anything in terms of forward guidance on Microsoft. I don't know what time their conference call is, so I wouldn't put too much emphasis on the aftermarket move just yet. Let me see if I can see when the earnings call is. I am a shareholder of Microsoft, so I should have access to it. That's going to be in 20 minutes. So again, keep an eye on Microsoft for the day. Part of me wants it to stay at this level because it is ridiculously priced. I'm going to buy Microsoft tomorrow if we're hovering at 274 for sure. The only thing I was worried about was when I bought Microsoft last week after earnings that were going to soar and I wouldn't get another shot at it. So again, 274. Let's go ahead and bring up the daily here. Now again, guys, you could free to do what you like. I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. So 274 on Microsoft after those kind of earnings, that's insane. You're talking about we're broken through the October lows and now we're right near the July lows. That's a big time discount from where it was. Now, looking at Microsoft in terms of their numbers, they did beat revenue, EPS by 9% and revenue by 3%. So again, that's in terms of expectations. But again, looking at, I'm trying to see if I can find a PE ratio for Microsoft here. Stock. I don't know if the PE ratio will be updated based on the stock price. The PE ratio is at 32.25, so a little richer than the S&P. Currently, if I find the S&P 500 PE multiple, that's price to earnings. Again, that's how you should price stocks. Right now, the PE ratio for the S&P is right around 24.84, so it's a sharp drop from when we were above 35. I think Microsoft's PE ratio has not been updated yet, but let me see if I can get that for you. PE ratio update. I'm actually looking it up right now. Microsoft PE ratio right now, as of today, we're at 288. So let me see if I can get that. Okay, here we go. PE ratio, I have it at 32.21. So again, it is a little richer than the S&P, so it's not exactly fair value exactly, but in terms of what you get, I mean, it's all there. 20% growth increase in margins. Operating margin was 43%. You're talking about a 20% revenue growth. You know, all segments did well. So I really don't understand this move here, but what it tells me is that this is indiscriminate selling. That's all it is. It's really just, you know, hey, get me out, get me out, get me out. A complete panic. So again, the fundamentals are there, and I told you that's like the third most important thing. But yet we're retesting the July lows here on Microsoft. If we go by the current stock price of 274, that'll get us right here. And let's say if we close at this level, 274, yeah, let's call it 274 right there. We're back at July lows. So imagine all of the second half of 2021 was wiped out. You usually do not get that kind of move with a Microsoft. The next floor, I would say, next support is at 262, and that would be the lowest point in the market. We had a short-term top on April of 2021, and then we revisited it and broke above it, and that's where we got the move from June. So 260 would be the next support, and then you go on and so forth if we keep sliding. I don't think that we do slide after this level here because now again, if we have a complete S&P 500 bear market, that's a completely different story. We're still not in an S&P correction just yet. ES is at 43, well, maybe now after Microsoft, 43.06 will now be in correction territory, but the S&P is not in correction territory. NASDAQ is, but not the S&P. So again, if we look at the current share price, let's call it 274, we'd be right, if I can get it here, right at breaking the lows of yesterday's wipe, yesterday's volatility would be right at July levels, the July lows. I will be a buyer of Microsoft tomorrow. Those numbers say all it needs to say. I mean, what more do you need to see in terms of Microsoft? So I don't understand the after hours algos there. I think maybe we'll get a little more clarity with the conference call at 5:30. Maybe we'll get a little more insight in terms of stock buybacks. Maybe we'll get a little more insight in terms of forward guidance, because forward guidance is key. That's the expectation of the rolling year of fiscal year 2022. But again, I don't think Microsoft is priced correctly. I think it's cheap here, especially on this move. If we can get the price tomorrow, let's see if we do. But that will be my first thing to do tomorrow morning. All right, let's answer some questions. Good afternoon. Why is Microsoft down? Do you see a downtrend now? Well, obviously you see a downtrend. I mean, you really don't need to be an expert to see on a daily the downtrend, obviously. Why it's down, I really don't have an explanation for that other than you just have any reason to sell right now. You have indiscriminate selling, meaning that you have a lot of panicked investors that were probably offsides, way over leveraged, and they're selling really the bells of the ball. Microsoft had a great quarter. I mean, I just gave the numbers here, and they're down after hours, which again I can understand. You know, if you don't meet expectations, or you have guidance is a little weak, or some kind of headwind in terms of like foreign exchange, or you know, some kind of merger that didn't go through due to antitrust. That happens all the time. But basically, on pure making money on Microsoft, that's kind of what you want in terms of a company that you own. I don't know what else the street wanted. It beat expectations. It's double-digit growth in every segment possible that they have: gaming, productivity and business processes, intelligent cloud, personal computing, you name it. And 20% revenue growth. Now, the only thing that I could possibly see is that they don't think that'll happen again. Like, oh, that's the top. We're never going to get there. So I think it's an opportunity for me to buy some more Microsoft. Microsoft's part of my core holdings. I love Microsoft long term. They have been an amazing company, amazingly well run by Satya Nadella. I think he was actually chosen by Yahoo Finance as the best CEO of 2021. So that should tell you a lot. And it is one of my top 10 stocks of 2022. So again, Microsoft to me looks like a winner. Let's see. How do you feel about tech bounce with an earnings CEO? So again, that's something that we have to see with Microsoft. Their conference calls in about 14 minutes. I'll take a look at the after hours action, and I'll report on Twitter if anything new pops up, guys. Let's see. Are you planning on buying the dip or going in big on tech again? I will be focusing a lot on Microsoft tomorrow. I definitely want to buy a good amount of shares on Microsoft tomorrow. I can't say like tons, but at 274, I think it's just too attractive to pass up. Let's see. Why is it that some stocks don't have to show a PE ratio or PEG ratio listed on their financials? Some, they don't have profit. If they don't show a PE ratio, it's because they're not profitable. Why don't you buy post market? I don't have aftermarket trading or aftermarket buys. And not only that, but you know, usually the volume is pretty thin. So again, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush to buy it right now. Buying Microsoft shares and longer calls if it stays this low in the morning, or only shares? I will be buying shares if we stay this low, absolutely. Now again, if we do rise tomorrow after this earnings call, again, that really depends, but we'll see how we look tomorrow in the morning, but I'll definitely be buying some. Why do you think Google is so cheap? It's from PE ratio, from their growth is higher than Microsoft and Apple. Now again, you're talking about Google, that a big of their segment is really ad revenue. So again, if business slows, Google takes more of a hit in terms of Microsoft, which makes their own stuff. Now Google has their cloud as well, but big revenue, is their ad revenue. Microsoft is not dependent on other businesses like ads. So again, I think that's where the disconnect is as well. Apple being the same, that they actually produce their own products and they actually sell them. So again, Google has some of that in terms of their Android platform, but again, their biggest moneymaker is the ad revenue from Google itself, the search engine, not YouTube. Obviously, their cloud is well too, but Microsoft is one of the top two cloud providers, Azure, and the other one being AWS with Amazon. TD Ameritrade does post-market buying. I do it sometimes. I just haven't honestly checked. I haven't really even taken a look, to be honest with you. Other than that, there you go. But again, I really want to see this conference call on Microsoft. I'll keep an eye on any kind of any kind of changes in terms of when I see on Twitter or something like that, any kind of headlines. So we'll see what from there. But again, I don't think this Microsoft move makes any sense to me. Again, I can understand if they missed on earnings or missed on revenue, or maybe it was a little too close, but it was a home run in my opinion. I don't see where the disconnect is there. You think the price action will expect ATVI stock tomorrow? Well, remember, ATVI is part of the S&P. So again, the S&P falls, ATVI takes a hit. It's a higher beta name, granted, but again, Microsoft, is to stay at this level tomorrow, it's going to be red because it's the second largest weighted company in the S&P. This will drag down the NASDAQ. This will drag down the S&P, regardless of what any other company does, mind you. Do you think crypto drops again? Now, when you say drop again, I mean drop how much? Do you think we hit 32,000? I mean, I think we could probably get to around 30, a worst case scenario, maybe 28. But right now it's still holding up. It is above the 100-day moving average on the hourly. It's kind of holding up there between 36 and 37.8. So is it anything you really get excited about? I buy every week anyway, so that hasn't really changed. You buying value now, or like Goldman Sachs, or only tech? As of right now, I'm only buying Microsoft tomorrow. That's my focus, is Microsoft, because now I have their earnings in front of me. Now I can see what else is new. Now again, I love value stocks, but we know they're capped. We know that tech is the future. Now again, if I'm looking more forward, like 10 years of holding the shares, Goldman Sachs is fine, don't get me wrong, but again, they're not innovative enough to grow 10 years from now the way a Microsoft, the way an Amazon, an AMD, and NVIDIA will do, or maybe a metaverse. So again, it's all about, again, if you're more short-term, 5 years or something like that, 4 or 3 years, and you're just looking for a trick, yeah, Goldman Sachs is fine. But again, if you're looking for longer-term growth, again, you're going to retire at 65. Let's pretend like you're 25. That's 40 years. What is that? What is something that's going to be more disruptive in the market in terms of more upside? Technology, AI, cloud computing, or good old-fashioned investment banking? Investment banking is important. But again, we know where tech is going in terms of just the new stuff that's coming out. Autonomous vehicles. We have artificial intelligence, metaverse, all that stuff, and of course the cloud. How's BA chart looking? Let's see. BA. I think BA reports tomorrow, actually. So they're trading at 201.50. Now again, it's all bets off. I have no idea what Boeing's going to do. I do own it. But again, it's all about the 737 MAX. It's all about their orders. It's all about their delivery. So let's see what Boeing can do. But I do own it. But there's really nothing there. I mean, on the chart wise, again, you have a straight downtrend in terms of a channel. Bottom end of the channel is right around 190, 185. But one thing that kind of scares me here is that what does Boeing need to do that Microsoft didn't? I mean, Microsoft knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. So what the hell does Boeing have to do to show some positivity? American Express had a great quarter, and their price action was strong. So, I mean, it could be just a Microsoft only thing or a mega cap tech thing where, investors said, I don't give a shit what they're doing. I'm selling it right off the rip. So again, this just shows me that it's just really indiscriminate selling in part of fear. And that's where the opportunity comes. So again, I'm okay with that. What was the BTC chart on Binance? Yeah, it was the BTC chart on Binance. Yes, indeed. NASDAQ forming a head and shoulders pattern. Actually, that's something that I talked about with the team in terms of NASDAQ futures. And I'll take a look at it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the date. Now I'm going on the daily 2 year. And you could see shoulder, head. Now again, in order to complete this head and shoulder, you have to get back to around the 100-day moving average, which is 15,657. Right now, we're testing that support all the way down to where we were on that flash crash Monday. Could we retest? Sure. If we retest that bottom and bounce, that's pretty strong. That'll indicate that this is a support level. If it breaks down, then we have a lot more room to go, right around 12,981. We'll start getting into the March lows of 2021, and you're talking about maybe 12,344. And then that's where you start really considering where the NASDAQ is really going to take a hit off the S&P, where 4,100, 4,000 starts really getting into focus. So again, we do have Tesla tomorrow. We still have Apple on Thursday. So we'll see what exactly they say. Apple's still the big one. Do I like AMD in these levels? Shoot. AMD I did buy last week, and I think below 100 is a great buy. I think AMD is a great company to own. That would right be at September, October lows. I think below 100 is worth buying. That's what I'll be looking for. Let's see here. All right, I think that's all the questions. Yeah, tons of swings, guys. We know the drill. I mean, I wasn't expecting tons of action today. It was just back and forth, ping pong. You still haven't shaken out all the fear yet. We still haven't hit capitulation yet, because capitulation would have been a close yesterday down 1,200 points on the NASDAQ, on the Dow, and we didn't get that. But again, the NASDAQ, the Microsoft earnings made zero sense to me. But again, I'll take that as taking advantage of it and buy this stock at these levels. I think it's cheap and it's worth a shot, in my opinion, to own long term. So we'll go ahead and leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note. We have FOMC tomorrow. Keep in mind, it's the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell at 2:30 talking about inflation, talking about monetary policy, possibly the markets. Let's see what he says. Who knows what he says? Last time he spoke, he saved the market. Could he do it again? Well, don't hold your breath either, but we'll see what price action does for us. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll see you then.